everyone, it's Sharonda from Pay or Wait, and today I'm going to be reviewing the NBC series Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist, Episode 9, Zoey's Extraordinary Silence. And I have to say that I really enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed the creativity behind it. I think that episodes like this shows why Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist is such a unique idea for a show outside of just the musical aspects, but also too with the dance choreography, thanks to Mandy Moore, who's an amazing choreographer. I think that that's what truly helped this storyline for this week's episode really shine. And I'll talk a little bit more about it as we get into Howie, who is Mitch's caretaker, when we get a little bit more in depth with his story. Really, this episode really centers around Zoey, who's trying to help Howie, who is Mitch's caregiver, resolve a dispute between him and his estranged daughter. They haven't spoken in a while, but his daughter is in college, and so she wants to help them reconnect, mainly due to her father, Mitch, who knows about the issues that Howie is having with his daughter. And also, too, Zoey has to try to reconcile that she may possibly be in love with two different men. The love triangle, as we saw, that really came to a head and really just exploded in last week's episode. We see that she's really trying to basically figure out like who does she like more, but first having to admit that she has feelings for both Simon and also too for Max. And then also too throughout the course of the episode we see that Zoey's sister-in-law, Emily, who is pregnant with her and David's first child, that she's still having those intimacy issues that we saw in a couple of episodes prior with David, as he hasn't touched her in a while. And so we kind of have all these kind of different things that are happening as a whole. But what I want to get into is, I guess we'll go ahead and start with Emily. So Emily's having a conversation with her mother-in-law and basically talking about how her and David have not had sex in a while. And I think it's really cool with their relationship that they're able to just have these open and honest conversations, and that also too that her mother-in-law can kind of take herself outside of the fact that this is her child that they are discussing, that Emily is having issues with. I like how they just have such a close-knit relationship and that she feels comfortable enough to actually be able to go and talk to her. I don't know if I would be able to do that with my future mother-in-law. I hope that we just won't be having that issue at all, but I think that is really cool, the type of relationship that their family has. But when Emily said that she kicked David out of the bed 3 times last week because his feet touched her, I was like, ma'am, that's not a bit much. But I do have a friend that really hates it when like feet touch her, even her kids' feet. They're just like, why are you touching me with your feet? So I kind of understood where she was coming from. But when she said that he hasn't initiated sex in weeks, I immediately thought, I was like, well, maybe he's just weird that you're pregnant. I've had a lot of friends who said that when their wives became pregnant, that they were just like, it just makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know if the baby can see anything or feel anything. Like, it turns into this whole psychological thing for men. So I do like that they do bring these like instances or these situations that regular people like do have issues with. I like that they were talking about that. But when she was trying to give David a hint like, hey, I'm finna go home, I'm tired, we haven't had enough alone time together, and it's just completely going over his head. I'm like, David, you can't be that dense. Like, you're a lawyer. You don't see what she's trying to tell you. But then when she busts out into loosen up my buttons, I said, okay, Emily, tell him to loosen up your buttons, girl. Like, Zoey was mortified because I was mortified for her that she had to sit and listen to this whole song. But Zoey told him, like, I think your wife is trying to get her some. Like, what are you doing? But they end up having a conversation. They talk it out. And David was keeping count. He was like, it's been 2 months, 3 weeks, 2 days. I was like, oh, okay, you better know when you last had, sex with your wife. But I thought it was really cool to kind of incorporate them more, because I was wondering what happened to Emily. Like, we've seen her, but I like that they're trying to give her and David like a little bit more to do, even outside of David just being this caretaker for his father. But I think it's really cool that Emily ends up getting Mitch a chairlift, which when they were talking about the issues of, because this all started when she was having a conversation with her mother-in-law about like not being able to, she was just sleeping in a chair so she could be near Mitch when he sleeps at night, because his bed is in the downstairs after his fall. I was like, girl, why don't you just get him a chairlift so he can still go upstairs and go to sleep, because I'm sure he's not getting uncomfortable sleep either. And so I was happy that Emily gave this to them, because I felt like this was like a normal remedy, like a normal fix. But I was like, to each his own. I understand everyone probably didn't come up with this yet. But also too, I want to talk about Howie, because we see that Zoey can hear Mitch she could hear Howie singing the song. And so the song that he's singing is called Sound of Silence by Disturbed. And so it's basically a song that represents like people's inability to communicate, which has been destroyed like by their detachment, their ignorance, like they just don't know how to properly communicate with someone else. And so I found this to be very interesting because we see Howie is having this issue. He feels that he can't get through to his daughter, but also too, Mitch is having this issue in a different way because he's lost this ability to communicate with his loved ones. He can't communicate with his wife. He can't communicate with his children. All he can do is really type like one word to really help them understand what he's trying to say. And so I think it's very interesting to hear this song from two totally different viewpoints. And so we see that Mitch kind of tells his daughter, like, you know, you should help him. And so once she has this conversation with him, she encourages him to reach out to his daughter, who is a coder just like Zoey. So he comes up with this whole elaborate scheme on how he's going to get his daughter an internship. Like that's his way of getting her to respond back to him. And so they go to meet his daughter, and then we find out that she's deaf. And so I think it's so cool because they're having this conversation, and then they get into an argument because when she tells Zoey that she's going to Kenya to do some good work, her dad is like, no. And he was like, it's not safe for people like you. And so this is one of these things where even though her dad has been a caretaker, not only caring for others, but caring for his daughter, that to her, he still sees her as someone who is a victim, as someone who is not their own person because she has this so-called disability, but she's learned to live with it and still do good and still live a normal and happy life. And so I thought it was so beautiful with the choreography where she starts doing Fight Song by, I think Tori Kelly did Fight Song. But I thought it was so beautiful how without the words, you can still see them conveying the emotion through their face. Also too, through the how they signed the song. I just thought it was done so beautifully well. It was so heartwarming, so touching to watch. And that was like, this is why I love Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist, because they always find ways to go outside of the box and shed light on different issues, on different causes. And I just love the entire thing. And so of course, after this, like she was like, see, this is why I don't talk to you. She didn't say that, but I'm just saying, like she basically was just like, I can't do this, and she leaves. And then Zoey ends up having a conversation with her because she comes to their job, and I was like, oh, look at Tobin know how to do sign language. And then when he tells the story of how he tried to learn sign language to basically sleep with someone, I was just like, oh, Tobin, like just when I have like a little ounce of hope for you, you just immediately take it away. I just don't understand. But Zoey gets to have a conversation with his daughter. She really goes into more detail as to why she feels the way that she feels, because when she's around him, because he's so overprotective, he makes her feel like something is wrong with her. And so I think that it was a very interesting conversation that they have. And then also too, to show how people with disabilities, even though it might not be normal to others, just how when I thought it was interesting that Zoey and Howie are having this conversation on how, you know, being a caretaker has really helped him appreciate the things that he can do, that he can walk, that he can talk, that he can show emotion. And I think it's weird that he can appreciate those things, but also not. But I don't understand how he can't treat his daughter as if there's nothing wrong with her, because there isn't. She's in college. She's doing the dang on thing. She's a coder. She's going to Kenya to help the kids. I don't understand. But they do end up actually making up, which I thought was really cute, because we see Zoey talking to Howie and his daughter as they're talking about her trip to Kenya. We see Mitch kind of looking over in the other room, and I was like, those little moments that I brought like a little tear to my eye. But we gotta talk about this love triangle, y'all. We got a love triangle going on between Zoey, Max, and Simon. So we know that Zoey basically kissed Simon, or Simon kissed Zoey. They both kissed each other, okay? And I think they liked it. So they kissed, and then they basically just abruptly left to avoid the fallout or having any type of conversation as to what is going on. And so then also too, Max has been a little weird around her because he feels as though like you knew how I felt, and like you never said anything, you never tried to act on anything. So he's feeling a certain type of way as well. So Zoey decides, after having a conversation with Mo, who tried to use aerobics to really help her try to get her life together, she tells her that she has to confront both of these issues. But I was laughing when Mo was like, you know, she dated two guys at one time named Byron, and I was like, sir, how did you like not mess it up? I don't understand. Byron and Brian, I can't even say their names right without their names running into each other. But I do like how she said, like, Simon don't kiss like no engagement. Because I'm like, right, he is engaged. I don't even understand why this is an option for Zoey to really be talking about how, you know, she has conflicting feelings or whatnot. But we see that she does go have a conversation with Simon to try to tell her, like, hey, I like you. But then Simon's like, hey, it was very inappropriate. Like, we shouldn't have this relationship. I'm engaged. Like, I need to behave like an engaged person. And now it's like about time that you need to have a whole discussion about that. But we see that Vanessa and Simon end up going to Mo's with her little boo thing, who was Vanessa's friend. They have a brunch, and then basically Mo was like, hey, what's good, okay? Because you sitting up here acting like you this good guy and all, but you out here got a whole fiance. And then I was like, how y'all ain't got no wedding date set? Like, this can't be a healthy relationship. You engaged, you had a whole engagement party, but y'all ain't got no date set. I don't understand how that works. I felt like a date should have been set before you had the party, because I'm sure everybody at the party asked you when your wedding date was. I'm just really confused about this. And so then when Simon says, like, I'm a good guy, and I was like, sir, how sway? And so he feels conflicted because Vanessa helped him through a hard time of his dad dying, and so he feels a connection to her in that way. He doesn't want to be unappreciative, like, of the fact that she helped him through this really dark time. But then he says that he has this really deep connection, an emotional connection with Zoey. Like, they just get each other, which, yeah, we see y'all been getting each other. And so he doesn't really know what to do. And so then this changes Mo's whole, like, thought process behind Simon, because she was ready for blood. She was out for blood, okay, to tell him like it is. But when she told him that hurt people, I said, Mo, you better preach. Tell him, okay? Because some people don't realize that their own hurt, it doesn't allow them to really treat situations the way that they should be treated, or to treat people with respect or respect of their feelings, okay? But when she starts singing The Trouble with Love Is, that used to be my song, y'all. It's a Kelly Clarkson song. This song goes so hard. And then she was like, see, next time you need to let me go to the store, because I wasn't trying to sing no song to you to tell you how I felt. But we see that Mo finally basically says that, like, hey, this is something that I can't help you with. It's a very sticky situation. I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is just, it's just really hard. But I did laugh when they were working out later, and then she's like, have you ever heard of white privilege? And I was just like, just Mo. Can I get a shout out to Mo, whose hair was laid, okay? I said, can I get that wig? Because I was like, you made me feel like I could have long hair, okay? But yeah, I just had to get that small shout out. But Max is going through a different situation. So Zoey and Max are in the elevator. He asks about her dad, which I was like, this is why I love Max, because he gets you. He gets your family. He cares about your family. I don't really hear Simon always actually how your daddy do. I know y'all got the whole daddy issues thing to talk to one another about, but Max is just, he's there. He's just a good guy. I'm still Team Max. But they have this whole conversation, and he was just like, she tried to talk about Leaf and Joan, like how they both caught on the same day. And he's like, hey, like, I'm not trying to get into other people's love lives. Kind of like, girl, I'm still not cool with you. Like, why do you keep trying to act like everything is normal? Because it is not, ma'am. Like, have several seats, sit back. But we see that Max has a whole different thing going on. So we see that Max is working, and then late night, and then we see that someone by the name of Ava Price goes and talks to him, which is Renee Elise Goldsberry, who I love, who was in Alter Carbon, and she was in Hamilton. She's just an amazing singer. Loved her in The Get Down. Just great. I can't wait to see what they do with her character. I hope she becomes a series regular, because I absolutely love her, even from The Good Wife, which I loved her in there as well. So she basically offers him a job in management. When she told her, she's like, I don't do nicknames, because she was like, Maxwell. He's like, you can call me Max. She's like, I don't do nicknames. I said, okay, girl, you better call nobody government name. So she basically offers him a job in management. She gives him 72 hours to take the job. And so Max has an interesting conversation with Zoey, where he kind of tells her, like, hey, you know, this is what's happening. What do you think I should do? And so he asks, like, what does she think she should do as her supervisor, as his friend, but also too as the one who secretly is in love with him. And then she was like, well, I would never, like, hold you back from an opportunity, but I'm gonna miss sitting across from you. And then she's like, was that the right answer? He's like, no. And then we see at the end of the episode, he basically ends up taking the job. And I was like, Zoey, that's not what he was looking for. Like, she's so passive. I hate that she's so passive aggressive with Max, but she's so, like, when she goes back to Simon, like, I never told you how I felt. I just listened to how you felt. Like, I like you, but I don't want to be a homewrecker or the other woman. I said, well, you're technically the other woman and you're a homewrecker, given what happened at the engagement party. But what am I? What do I know? But I just think it's so rude how she does Max. He is such a good dude. I am so Team Max. I wouldn't even be able to trust Simon. You was talking to me when you had a whole fiance. Like, I just don't understand why she likes Simon so much, but I really hate how she handles both of these situations so differently. And so we see that he ends up taking the job. So I'm interested to see what's going to happen with that storyline. But we do find out at the end of the episode when we see that Simon and Vanessa are leaving and they start singing Happier by Marshmello, which leads me to believe that they possibly broke up. So I don't know if this means that him and Zoey are going to get together. Clearly she just keep playing Max to the curb like he gonna be there forever, and I hope that he is not. Max, you deserve better, okay? You deserve better. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but overall, I really like this episode. I just love the whole use of the choreography and with, you know, Howie's daughter being deaf. I like that Max is kind of standing up for himself now, like, hey, like, you're going to respect me, which is what Zoey was doing with Simon, but not giving Max that same respect. And then also too, how we continue to see Emily and David kind of work through their issues and, you know, get back to being great. But I want to see what happens with Simon breaking up with his fiance now, because I don't know what this means for him and Zoey, if she's still kind of like, hey, I told you I'm done. Like, I don't care what happened between both of you guys. I don't know. I'm interested to see how all of this is going to play out. This is going to be real juicy, y'all. Okay, I just love me a good love triangle, okay? So messy, just, oh, I love the mess, okay? I just love it, love it, love it. And I hope that Renee is coming back and she's going to give us a song. I can't wait to love her so much. But those are pretty much my thoughts on Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist. Season 1 episode, I think it was episode, it's either 8 or 9. I can't look down in my paper because I just threw it on the ground. But it was called Zoey's Extraordinary Silence. As always, my name is Sharona from Pay Or Waits. And if you like what you saw today, make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, share this video with your friends, and make sure you hit that notification bell. And I love you guys 3000. I'll see you soon.